What's up, everyone? Today we are here with Patricio Sadovskis, and he is one of my good friends. I've known him for a few years now, and incredibly interesting person. And I'm super excited to dive into this podcast today. And we were just kind of chatting, and we were like, "Let's start the damn podcast."
They just started,
Yeah,
right?
well, because I was talking just to refresh, because I kind of interrupted you. I was just kind of talking about how this is unscripted, and kind of we do go in with a little bit of an agenda to kind of talk about like things if or I have different topics to dive into if the conversation stalls, but pretty much we're just going to have a conversation. And I had you on because I think you're incredibly interesting and you've like, there's just so much there. But, and then you started telling me a
Yeah.
story.
So what I was saying is like as I was driving here, I was thinking, what are we going to talk about in the podcast? And I think it everything, like for example, you were the key for me to start embracing who I am. So
That's
yeah, I
awesome.
appreciate I appreciate that you said that I've done so many things in my life, and it's good because I feel like the normal John Doe in life, like anybody around there, they just go by their life doing things most likely because we're fitting in society. We're doing things as humans, right? We're doing things to like impress other people. We're doing things to like make ourselves feel that we belong somewhere. We act, react, wear clothes, drive a car, or live in certain areas because there is a purpose behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or maybe we do things because that's what we can afford, but we always trying to go somewhere else as a regular humans, right? Because that's what society tell us to do. So this is the story, right?
Yeah.
I came here because my ex-girlfriend brought me for a Reiki session. I don't know if you guys are aware, but when you're going to start a Reiki session, you do a little chit chat, like 10, 15 minutes. Long story short,
2 hours later.
we talked for an hour and a half and we
That's
didn't do
long.
Reiki yet, right?
Yes.
So that day, it was a very eye opener situation for me because I like everybody else, because this is everybody has the same feelings. Some people has more on the surface, some other people's maybe not, but we all are humans and we are like are the same type of thing, right? We all have chakras, we all vibrate, we all feel energy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them were more intuitive, some of them not, but in general aspect, everybody, it's pretty much the same. There's no woohoo thinking here.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, after that conversation, a lot of things that they happened in my life through my experiences, like you said, I did so many things. I lived in several different countries and I tried around, and I'm an artist and I did like all kinds of things, but all those things gave me um always like crazy or out of the norm experiences, right?
So you
And
like feel like you got something from
yes,
each.
yes,
Yeah.
but I didn't know how to put them in place, right? So it's like, oh, this is crazy. It's awesome. I felt this connection with this person, and because without me knowing the when I have an intuition or when I have this kind of connection, I'm gonna go follow it because I know that it's gonna lead me to something that I need to witness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, that's how I live, because it's like, for example, long story short, you live in Ohio, 45 or 50 minutes away from where I live. Right next to my house, there is the Boone County, the Big Bone League Park.
I tell
I'm
this
about
story way too often,
I'm
by the way.
about to put down my dog. So the needs for me to encounter with someone that I have deep connection is necessary. But me, I don't want to go walking around and say, hey, I'm going to put my dog down. It's a sad situation. I need a hug, right?
Right.
So I'm in my house after I called the friggin' set up the appointment to like for the vet to come to the next day. She's gonna go to do the euthanasia. I go to the park, and as I'm pulling in the park, I met this guy in the park. It's kind of like a. But the crazy thing is that I'm after all that situation, I'm like I need to go to the park.
Yeah.
So what are the chances to meet you in the parking lot?
Well, and the funniest part about that is we were pulling into the park, like the very beginning entrance, and immediately I was like, I'm gonna see Patricio, and like I knew it, and I said to my wife, I didn't want to say like we're gonna see Patricio because I didn't want to be wrong, and then her start questioning my intuition or something. But I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if we saw Patricio here today? And she was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then like we go, and this is, let me tell my little side of this story because it all syncs up crazy. Because like we get on the trail and we go down to see the bison down there, and my oldest, so we were there, we were hanging out, it was cool. My youngest started whining, like getting upset because he was hungry and wanted a snack, or he was hot, I don't know, something. But
yeah, it was summertime.
Right. And so my oldest was like, I was like, all right, well, let's go, buddy. And then he just sat down, and he was like, I could tell something was going on spiritually. He was doing something spiritually. He's very spiritually connected. And I was like, let's go, buddy. And he was like, oh, I just kind of want to sit here for a second. And I was like, all right. So I sat down, and instead of getting that, like, we need to go because my son's about to start crying, I was like, let's chill out for a second and let's be here. So I did. We were listening to the bison, like, do the, or like how, whatever they do, and just admiring them for a second. And as I did, I started bringing in energy, kind of healing the area, just that kind of stuff. And then there was a certain point where I was like, oh no, that's what happened. I was meditating, and a fly landed on my hand, and I was like, I can handle that, I'm good. But it was tickling so much. And it was like one of those big flies, and I was like, I'm good. And then another fly landed on my hand, and then two of them started going around, and they were like really like tickling my hand. And then a third one landed, and I was like, this is a sign that I need to. So I told my son, I was like, all right, buddy, you ready? And he was like, yeah, we can go. And then we started walking up the trail. And then as we're going, I'm kind of like, that kind of sucks. I knew I was going to see Patricio, but guess I'm not. And then we are walking to our car, and as we do, I see you come in your truck. I was like, watch out for this guy coming up the driveway. And then I look, and I was like, oh my God, that's Patricio. And my wife was like, are you kidding me? And so then I got to come over, talk with you, and then did get to get out of the car, give you a hug, and just, I don't know, it was nice saying hi. I didn't know, and sorry if you told me and I forgot, but I didn't know that you were like right there getting ready to put your dog away.
But situation. It was, again, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, right? So that's pretty much what I was coming with, that whole, when I was driving and I'm thinking and all that stuff. So my thinking on the whole situation is like, as a human, if we normally, because of society, we don't pay attention to those feelings. We don't pay attention to those clicks. And you had the click, and I had the click, and guess what? It was meant to be, right?
And really quick though, I do also want to add, because I forgot this part, is that morning we had absolutely no intentions on going to the park. Absolutely no intentions. And I woke up, and I think I like brushed my teeth, and I was cooking breakfast, and it was like, boom, like I need to go to the park and see the bison today. And I was like, that's kind of a long drive. But I was like, I have to go for some reason. And sure enough, so it's like in that moment, I always wonder, like, well, I know it's the universe doing universe things, but it's like, did you think about going to the park, and the universe was like, oh, all right, he needs to see someone or whatever, and then they send me that signal? Or did I decide to go to the park and
I don't know. I don't know. I was in the whole situation, and I remember after I did the first call, I was like, you know what? I need to go to the park.
Yeah,
I had that thing, and then and so this is the thing. Before that encounter 2 years ago or whatever it was, when we had that first conversation that is this start pretty much my journey, right? Um, I'm aware that I have this kind of feelings for forever, but I never paid attention to it. I was always finding an excuse to like to not to do it, or if it was convenient for me to do it right there or not, or not. You know what I mean? So it's one of
Because
those
sometimes
things.
it can be
Yeah,
inconvenient.
yeah. But the crazy thing is like I was talking to my daughter's mom yesterday, and uh, I was telling her we were talking about like money and stuff. She's also an artist, and I was explaining to her because sometimes we get caught in our heads chasing $1,000 over this thing, but that thing that we're chasing is not coming with ease. It's always a struggle. We trying, you know, what I mean, like fuck, and you try to go and try to go, and it's complicated, and it's complicated, and it's complicated. Well, maybe you have $8,000 waiting for you, right there, right here. You just have to turn around and pay attention and follow what the universe is leading you, because it's like there's a saying, right? God's know what's best for you, right?
Yeah.
And that's true. It's like if you're trying to do something and that thing doesn't go smooth, there's a reason behind it. Period.
And either that reason is like something that you need to learn or something that you need to do. But I tell everyone, if you start running into that, like it's time to make another turn, because usually it's saying, hey, go the other way.
Backtracking. Everything starts with the perspective, right? Like I'm a person that today, not 2 or 3 years ago, today, I see everything that happened to me like an opportunity for growing. It doesn't matter if like I get my leg chopped off, because like you have two options whenever every time there's something that you were not expecting to happen, you have two options. Or either sit down and cry and say, why in the fuck this is happening to me? Or you can sit down and learn and see the reason why the universe is leading you in a different direction. So once you are capable to like stop or jump over the wall of, oh, this is wrong, or this is bad, or this is this, once we are capable to get rid of that mentality, everything that you see, it's a benefit. Everything that happens to you is for your own good. So it's crazy, because it's crazy how that mentality influence your entire being. You know what I mean? Because you wake up in the morning and it's like, sorry, oh fuck, I slept too much, and like you go through your entire day all wrong because you have. Guess what? Maybe your body needs to rest. And you embrace that thing, and you wake up in the morning and you do the things that you wanted to do instead of the things that you force yourself to do, because nobody forces you to do anything in this life, right? Because in reality we can die tomorrow, and if you die tomorrow, are you living your happy life? Everybody, when I say that, they start pulling excuses. No, because it's not gonna. Sure, if we filter that down to the like the bottom thing, the shallow part, are you living a happy life right now? Because the truth is, like, I googled this for my podcast. 8,900 people die a day
800
in United States, just in United States. 8,900 people. That's a lot. So the chances for you, me, or anybody to die right now are huge. But because we're used to, right? We always thinking like, yeah, well, I don't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. When you start being present, and you start admiring everything that you have around, when you start understanding that everything is energy, and when you start understanding that everything that is happening, it has a reason for your growth, when you start understanding the life it's a gift, when you start understanding that death is not the end, when you start understanding all these things, the interaction, the meeting of someone that has to bring something specific in life, you know what I mean? Things like that. And you start like, and actually, like, I put that on my book. It's crazy because before, dude, I'm turning 48 right now. And I did all kinds of things, travel around here and there, and but then when I found that rock, and then I was going through the whole process and all that stuff, I started understanding that everything, every single thing that happened to me through my life brought me to this point right now. Period.
Yeah.
It's great.
It
The
is.
greatness of that. How can everybody not to see it that way? How can you wake up in the morning and just go by a day, or spend your hours waiting for the time to like go to sit down and watch TV?
Mhm.
Come on,
Well,
dude.
when I was first, you talking
Huh?
about that reminded me of just like when I first was opening up and I found out that there were spirit guides, and even if it is just God or whatever it is, but I was like, I have this team that's like looking out for my best interest, and in looking at it in a different way, I have God looking at everything in my most best interest, the universe, however you want to phrase it. But I realize I have support, and everything in my life that I'm going through or that I'm doing is for my own good. And then I started teaching that, where I'm like, everything that happens, even the bad stuff, is happening because it is molding you or sending you into a direction that you need to go. And for me, anything that happens in life, I'm like, is there a lesson here? And if I don't see a lesson, I just let the universe know I received this, I understand this, and I'm going to continue to move forward, and let me know if there's anything I need to do with this situation. But it could just be because it's changing a way that I think or something, or it's changing the way that I do something, and then it leads us to where we need to go. And I think that if people can have that type of mentality of like, everything happens for a reason, I'm being led in this direction for some reason. And then if it gets really, really hard, we don't want to be lazy. We want to try to work hard towards the things that we want, but we have to understand that usually getting towards the things that we want, there's a difference in hard working. Like the difficulty level, if you're working towards something that you're meant to do, is much easier, and it feels way different than if you're doing something that you're meant to look in a different direction. And when you start to pay attention to your intuition on a daily basis, and you can do that by literally just paying attention to everything that's going on throughout the day and being present, number one thing. When you do that, then you start to realize, okay, this felt way different than the last time when I was doing something and it was hard. And this time I need to continue to move forward, or I need to take another look at things. But I just call it my flow state. And when I'm in my flow state and I'm doing all the stuff that I need to do. I'm listening to the universe. It's not that I'm like some idle NPC just walking around. It's that I'm an open receiving. I'm receiving the connection. I'm receiving the information, and I am just fulfilling my purpose here on earth and experiencing this amazing life on earth, because I still have free will. I can still do all the things I want to do, but also there's moments and there's times and there's things that I have to do. For example, real quick, is my podcast that I'm doing. I have had many people, including you, have said, have you ever, I had a room empty and you were like, you should turn it into a podcast room. And I'm like, so many people would say you should do a podcast. And I'm like, I would always be like, yeah, maybe one day, like for sure. Never felt a drive about it. So then over the past like month and a half, I've been creating more time for myself during the week. And I was like, why am I doing this? Maybe I just want to spend more time with my family. I spend a ton of time with my family, even doing podcasts and all of that. But I was like, maybe I just need to spend more time. And then after doing so, I started to get this drive to do this. I called it story time, when I was like telling ghost stories or like spooky stories that happened in the past and stuff like that. And then I went out to a friend's house, and I don't ever really drink, but I'll drink every once in a while. I went to a friend's house, we were drinking, and he was talking about Jesus and his idea of how Jesus and God and all that is. And I didn't really agree with his way of thinking about it. Not that I'm like arguing, but I was like, I look at it different. But he got a little bit angry about it. But then the next day I was telling my wife, we were driving, and I was like, I just wish I could just like sit down with someone like that and just talk and just like share my point of view, have them share their point of view, and just have an audience watch it and see what they think. Not even having a debate or anything, just they can get from both sides and take what they want. And she was like, I know you kind of bounced it around at times, but have you thought about doing a podcast recently? And I was like, I have, but like my heart, like my energy was like whoosh and like jumped out at it. And I was like, whoa, hold on. In my mind, I was like, I've kind of thought, but like I felt that intuition. I was like, hold on a second. Actually, and by that night, I had it named. I had pictures. I had the Facebook page. I had the Spotify. I had like everything. And then I ordered the cameras. I got all the equipment together. It took me about 3 days to do all that. And then I had my first podcast like 3 days, like 3 days after deciding to do it. I had my first podcast,
and everything went like.
That's the whole other point. Is yes, everything flowed. It all went good.
Because
the only hiccup was the
that
camera
you had
setup.
to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's it. Well, that's the thing. So for many years I did things that I can say I did amazing things, because I don't regret of anything that I've done, the good, the things, the bad, and everything.
Yeah.
But it was good stuff, like travel and all that stuff. But I never, like, honestly, I always live my life like a butterfly. I'm always like, I'm here enjoying this, and it's bananas, dude. I used to work for Red Bull as a photographer, doing like I used to do motocross. So I will do pictures for like Honda motorcycles. I used to do like bananas things, super like direct TV commercials. I'm a scuba diver instructor. Like I did so many things that are like super cool stuff, right? But it was always like doing things. When I start digging into, or when I start putting all those puzzle pieces that they've been given to me randomly through situations in life, I start putting them in this puzzle on the table and start like accommodate them and see how, and I start witness how that image, how that puzzle start getting, you know what I mean? Because I don't know what the picture is. Mm-hmm. I have the pieces, so I start putting the shapes together and I start discovering this human, right? Or this thing, this being with this mission, right? Not until then, it's when I start, I have a similar stuff, right? When I did my first Akashic Records opening, I start seeing things that are like, well, I mean, you're in a situation that you have to choose, or you're gonna start working or no. What are you gonna do?
Was that with Shaman by any chance?
No. That was with a girl in Argentina.
Gotcha.
But I did it through Zoom.
Nice.
So I started doing that. So it's like, okay, well, I start having these feelings, and then like everything start going together. So I start meditating every day, and I start getting like connection with myself, and I start getting more familiar with all the stuff, and then I start like getting into nature, and I like spending time by myself, and like allowing that internal thing to work out. And I started to working with my inner child, and I start to like forgiving things that were, and I mean I put the work, honestly, because I cried like a little girl for a long period of time, and I did so many things, and then like I worked through that stuff. But through the whole work, I ended up coming out with a purpose, and that's the difference today than like 2 or 3 years ago. 2-3 years ago, I was doing things that they were like magical. They were so good. They were phenomenal. They were so nice. The universe, I want to say that the universe was sending me those signals like, oh, put me in this whole situation to get some outcome, and I would just eating the cherries, but not understanding the purpose of the whole situation. Today I have a purpose. Today I understood that, first of all, I'm a sensitive person. Well, I'm an artist. That's what I do for a living. But I'm a sensitive person. And through that sensitivity, I'm capable to perceive and receive things, right? So when I get those messages, I'm sure that there is a lot of people that get those messages, but because you don't put the work, and you don't create a structure in yourself to process the thing, because it's like when you get a sensitivity, or some type of sensitivity, or you have a feeling about something, if you don't put the work, like sit down and meditate, and you feel and you dig inside and you perceive and you're not present and all that stuff, and you keep putting excuses from your head, it's kind of like it waters down, you know what I mean, that strong feeling that comes in here. But there's two things, at least for me, right? I'm a sensitive person, and I have the skills for communication. So I first started with the podcast, and then the podcast, it was like a long, and like, because I speak Spanish and English, so I started putting the podcast in English, and so people that I know from they speak Spanish is like, hey, I don't understand a shit what you're saying, and so I started like putting captions, and it was a lot of work and all that stuff, and it's like, oh, you know what? At that point, I had like a lot of notes and all that stuff, so I ended up like writing a book. I thought it was easier to like, hey, here, if you want it in Spanish, I did the translation, read it in Spanish or read it in English or whatever.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like, you do whatever. So it was kind of like, okay, well, easier that way. Until when I was one of the regressions that I was doing with Karen, my shamanic teacher. I was doing a regression, and I started popping up with Atlantis. So through Atlantis, I started realizing that my job back then, when I was in Atlantis, is I was a peacemaker. And one of the things I envisioned right next to me, I had a tool, and that tool, it was like a flute. It was like a crystal flute, but it was not just for the sound. I was using the sound for the vibration, and that vibration will create feelings on people. And this is the crazy part. So I play guitar since I'm 15. I'm gonna be 48. It's been forever. In the middle, for like 10 years, I didn't own a single guitar. Like, I totally went out of music and all that stuff, even when it was my first calling, because that's look how much work I did. So my father, he was a lieutenant colonel, retired from the army, and a lawyer, very strict person and all that stuff. And it was my figure, right? So he was always saying like, well, if you don't wear a suit, you're gonna be a bozo your entire life. You're gonna be a loser. Da, 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 da. So in my head, I was like, motherfucker, I'm gonna show you that I can do whatever I want to be, and I will be successful either way, because I knew it. I had that thing in my head. So my first artistic expression, it was always music, and I ended up choosing tattooing because tattooing, it was giving me money. So I went my whole route until I came back to music. And the crazy part is this: when I came back to music, so I always play guitar. Well, now I don't know. It's kind of, I feel like Matrix. You know, Matrix 1, when they say like, hey, load me the helicopter pilot, bzz, and now you're a helicopter pilot. So years ago, I played in 4 different bands years ago, and in one of the bands, we fired the bass player, and I was the rhythm guitar. And the guy's like, well, I mean, since you know the songs, why don't you play the bass? And I'm like, sure. We find some bass, we borrow a bass from someone, and I tried 2-3 times. I sucked so bad. I was
just with the rhythm, or just,
I don't know. I couldn't transpose from what I was doing in the guitar to the bass, and it was like, so I grew. This is like I was probably like 18 or 19 back then. So I spent 30 years of my life thinking that I don't know how to play the bass. Period. So spiritual journey. And I realized, and through that vision that I saw, that flute, that I realized that I have instilled in me, because what I was doing, like to put it in people in the loop, what I was doing like a couple years ago, I was playing guitar, but I was doing covers from people, and I would like make a video of me doing the cover. Oh, how cool I am! I play the guitar, and that's it. Period. Well, when that happened, when I saw the flute and all that stuff, I started realizing that I have to start making my own music. Not because to feed my ego that I have to make my own music. It's because I'm sensitive, and because I have the sensitivity and I have the skills to put that down. So when I do the music, I don't do the music. I don't sit down and I write a song. It's like, oh, I'm gonna write about this sad feeling and like create something. A lot of the time, I do a meditation.
Nice.
And after the meditation, a melody comes to my head. And I sit down and start working on it, and somehow this music comes out. So
I love that.
That's when I'm saying that now I have a purpose. Now I found my purpose. And all these magical things that I do have the purpose. Crazy thing is like now I play the bass, and I play the bass like crazy. I'm doing an album that is jazz, and I play the bass in the fucking album. So the crazy thing is, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's the Matrix. When you do the things that you're supposed to be doing, everything aligns for that thing to go the way it's supposed to be. It's crazy.
I always say there's no denying it. Like a lot of people get caught up on like, am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? And I'm just like, or am I missing what I should be doing and stuff? And I'm just like, trust me, you're going to, the universe will make sure that it's in your face on what you need to do. But for you, I love that it like circles back around to that. And then now it's like, I found my calling. And I also wanted to say that I also had a lifetime in Atlantis as well. And I was one that was like, I was leading, I forget exactly what it was, but basically like leading people away from Atlantis when there was getting ready to be a catastrophe there or something along those lines. And I like,
wait, we never talk about this.
I know, well, because I can't even remember half of it.
It's gonna get juicy.
And well, it was just basically like me, almost like not like a doomsday kind of person, but like kind of going around and saying like I'm for almost like a seer, and people trusted me and believed me. And I don't know what the catastrophe was though, but I was led to lead people like up into the mountains almost. So I don't know if it was a flood or what it was, but and then that's about all that I know about it. And that's something that rings with me now, is like, not that I'm like leading people away from a catastrophe, but like for me, I'm like, I feel like I'm trying to connect everyone, the mainstream, with the spiritual side of things, and like trying to bridge that gap so everyone can hear what's going on for themselves. Like if there's something, like if we need to go to the mountains, everyone's going to hear that we need to go to the mountains. And you've mentioned it several times now about like everyone has the ability to feel and hear and do all these things. And I just want to make it to like, I'm not afraid to do the hippy dippy woo woo things, but I'm also like, I want to let the people that are mainstream, that think it's too hippy dippy and stuff, I want them to feel like they can also do it too. And it doesn't have to be all hippy dippy. It can be very rational, and it can like, but anyway, I wonder if we have a connection from Atlantis.
Well, I'm about to like puke a bunch of things. So after we did the chakra bonding class, Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and all that stuff, I started going bananas with shamanic. So I started my shamanic journey. And 3 quarters into the shamanic work, I start. Um, I realized that Karen, she's kind of like a seer for me. So she's capable to like guide me, and somehow with between those between me and her, we find a connection. So she's capable to like put me in places that I can bring memories back like so vividly. Like
That's
I can
amazing.
describe smells and like textures. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
I have all the recordings, everything, because I'm writing a second book and I'm going
Nice.
all in. I don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
and the first one I was kind of like skeptical, like, oh, I don't want to sound too woohoo. Now I don't care because I feel I understood that if I'm seeing things this way and I'm here right now, it's because there is somebody around here that it has to be exposed to that.
Mhm.
That's why I'm getting that information. Like you just said, like it's our job for like for some reason we have a little bit more sensitivity or we are a little bit more awake than other people. There is a reason why we get in those messages. And there is a reason why you're like podcasts and all that because people needs to know that the I mean the world is being changing and you can tell like in bunch of aspects, not just us that we keep evolving. You can tell in people, and I feel like somehow it's been there is kind of like a segregation somehow, like we don't cross path with negative people anymore, right? You do here and there, but it's so like little versus like before you will like get smashed. You know what I mean? You gotta be protected all the time. But I feel like right now you don't have to be on guard so much because it's everything. It's more. I don't know. I think that there is a division energetically. Coming back to Atlantis, um, you are right. So what I saw in my visions, in my regressions, is I think they're the Pleiadians who wiped Atlantis. The reason why is because the Atlanteans they did a pact with kind of like reptilians or so like that. So another different extraterrestrial beings, and these guys they promised Atlanteans to share information about the stars and like a knowledge, right? To like engines knowledge for to grow in the civilization.
The
But
reptilians did?
yeah, but in reality, it was I don't know if it was reptilians. I've seen those guys because I've saw an image that one of those guys chasing a human on a hallway, and they were like oversized, a little bit bigger than us, and something like that. And I don't know the name of those guys. I'd say reptilian, but they look kind of like monstery looking thing. And so these guys they tricked the humans that lived in Atlantis, and they were again like this ancient knowledge and all the stuff. But the only thing that they wanted, because Atlanteans they were powerful, has a society, and they wanted more the tricky things. They wanted more power. That's what they did that to Atlanteans. So my job back then, it was I was working in the middle, like a mediator between the Pleiadians and these guys, because these Pleiadians were like, "Hey, stop fucking around," because the Pleiadians are the ones who keep everything in balance, right, in the universe. So the I have an image, dude. Like I'm standing in a balcony and I can see those ships up here, up there, and then like when you said would you say that you don't know if it was a flood or like a catastrophe or something like that? No, those guys send a raid, kill everybody, kill
Wow.
everyone, but from both sides, because um, Atlanteans, they started getting into this like a war of power, right? Some of Atlanteans want to do this share with these beings, and these beings want the Atlanteans. So some people it was in favor, some people it was against it, and all that stuff. And the Pleiadians are the ones that are like, bah. But I also have a vision that we took people out of Atlantis.
Yeah.
And for example, Ankh Anu, that woman, I had the vision from the rock that I found in here. All that story start happening pretty much at the same time and all the stuff. Ankh Anu, I think, is the same soul that it came because in one of the visions, I saw a woman with me in the patio in Atlantis. And I saw that woman walking out with me, helping me to bring people out of Atlantis. So
Wow.
that when you said I was a person that I was like getting, so probably you and I we were doing something similar
That's
back
hilarious.
then.
That's awesome.
So the crazy part is this: I don't know, like from this information that we have in this society, in which time frame land in Atlantis. But if you know, if you pull up the world and you look outside, pretty much a similar time. It's when Mayas, Aztecs, and all those civilizations are the ones that start popping up. All of them share pyramids. All of them share contacts with outside. So what I think is people that escape Atlantis, then they were the people that they were good. You know what I mean? That they didn't want to be involved in that shit situation. They escaped Atlantis and they escaped to different places. Some of them they went to Egypt. Some of them they went to Mexico. Some of them they went to Peru area. You know, that's how I feel.
I agree with that, and I have like 6 different things I want to ask. So I want to.
Write it.
I know. Honestly, you know, I have been thinking about getting a note or just a pad that I can jot the thing, because I have so many things I want to ask or talk about, and then I forget all about it. But when you are looking at Atlantis, so the issue for me is my vision with like taking people out was mainly mountains. I didn't see Atlantis. But then a few months ago, I was all of a sudden plopped down at this place, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And it was like there was this big archway, and then like if I'm looking, and then through it was this big like buildings, a lot of big but different style buildings, not like regular buildings that we see now. And then behind me,
like white ones, like
yes,
kind of like when you see Greece. Well, I lived in Europe, so when you walk in like Rome and stuff like that, yeah.
Yes, those, and like the ones like with like the big caps on the top of them and stuff. I don't know, but and then when I turned around, there was this huge, like it was huge. Like
it's like a hallway.
No, lake. Not like a lake. It was almost like a waterway that was like straight, and then there was walkways on both sides of it. But when I was there, I was like, this is, everything's huge. Like everything was so much bigger
proportion
wise.
Like yes,
like here. And I'm like, my question was at that point is this, were there giants here, or were they like bigger than normal?
Did you went to any room?
Well, that was the thing. I was stuck at that place and I wanted to go elsewhere, but I couldn't. And then like I went back the next night and I was like, I'm venturing around this city and
Yeah.
I couldn't leave that space. So I was
Oh.
like, what do I need to do here?
Have you seen a statue of a woman warrior?
Seeing that's a good question too because I feel like there were statues on each side of the thing, the archway, but I don't remember what it was.
So I think, did I tell you about Marbella? That I have to go to Marbella and all that stuff.
No.
So on when everything start, uh, one day I'm doing this meditation and I'm underwater, and there is a killer whale that is hovering over me, like I can see the shadow. I'm like close to the bottom, and she's projecting shadow on me, right? So
Mm.
she's above me, and I look at it, and she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm protecting you from the race."
Uh,
It seems like there is a different civilization out there, and it's like that civilization. It's spelling some race. They're killing things, right?
mhm.
So that she's giving herself away to protecting me. I'm protecting you from the race. You go. So I have this feeling. I saw there's a cavern. There's an opening cavern. But there is like a gate, kind of like a jail gate, you know.
Mhm.
But and I'm the only one that he can open it. I'm the only one that has the code to open it. And I have to do this because inside there's a bunch of animals, fish, sharks, dolphins, and all that stuff. They're hiding in there because they're scared about this race. They're coming because they're killing things.
Mhm.
And I have to do it because I'm the only one. And I have to go in there, open the gate, and bring all these animals to this. There is like it's like I want to say like a ship, underwater ship that has this, that it has like a shield, like a magnetic shield.
Mhm.
So my job was that
Well, really quick, was this meditation before or after your regression?
before.
Okay.
This is how it started.
Yeah.
So when I went into that shield, I woke up, right? I got out of the meditation. So when I came back to it, that's how I find out the Marbella thing. When I
Mhm.
came back to it, I came back to the same place. I went to that place, and there were no fish. I was underwater in the same place. I saw the cave and all that stuff. And when I get out of there, I saw like a restaurant thing, like a name. I can't remember. I think it was La Rosas or like
Mhm.
something like that, from Marbella. It says it's crazy because I never been in Marbella before.
Yeah.
Never. It's like it's weird. All right. So I started digging with Marbella. When I started doing the regressions, I see myself the first time that I show up in there. I see myself in this balcony. It's like this white rock. There's like blocks of rocks. I
Mhm.
can see the balcony elevated. There is like a railing thing, and underneath there is like a big ass patio with columns. There
Mhm.
is an arch, an entrance arch in there. There's a statue in
Ah.
there. There's a statue in here, and over there is a pathway of water.
Ah.
On
That's
the other
hilarious.
side of the pathway of water, there is more land, and then there is the Marbella thing. I can see the the coast.
Mhm. That's insane
It's
because
just,
I it's,
I can draw and like how I see the things
yeah. We should do that. We should draw each drawing and send it to each other
because
and see.
I saw this is another one. So if this is my room, the place where I was, the door was here. There's a stairs, a hallway, another stairs, and this is the building. And this is a patio with water, a strip that you can connect to each other, and there is like a flip, like a mirror on the other side. There were three apartments in this building, and my building connect to this opening thing where the strip of water was here. That was the arch. that I'm saying. And there was a statue here and a statue here, and over here is the mountains and all that stuff.
Did you get a feel that you were a normal sized human, or did you feel like you were
I
bigger
was
than
an I
normal?
was a normal sized human. I remember that I was wearing a blue suit, and this
Mm.
blue suit has 13. They were like hovering lights
Oh,
right
okay.
here, and those things, what they do is like they were filtering there for me to breathe. And but if I jump in the water would not touch me.
Oh,
So it
wow.
would
Okay.
create like a scaphandra thing or something like that. It was
So
the
you were still breathing oxygen underwater.
yes,
So
yes,
were you able to just like be underwater without
like
having to?
nothing. Yeah,
That's awesome.
the suit, it was blue. It was like kind of like sleek,
Mm.
and it was a type of suit that like if I jump in the water, I will not get wet. If I was outside, I will not feel heat or cold.
Did you get any sense of what that was powered by? I know that's a big question, but
No,
that's
no energy,
yeah.
just energy.
I just think that's amazing, just being able to go back and see that. And do you know where Atlantis was? Like where on Earth where it was?
I think so. It's crazy. But I don't know where my phone is, whatever. But I think I think it's in front of Marbella. So if
Mm.
you look it up, that coast, it's Marbella is in here, and there is like this big sea, and then it kind of like funnels into like this point that is called Gibraltar. This is in Spain. It's called Gibraltar. So one side there is 40 kilometers from one point to the other point. One side is Spain, the other side it's Africa.
Mm.
But it's crazy because it's open sea and it looks like a gate.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were describing it.
And then you go by that and then it's open in this way. So I tried to look it up. So I tried to book a trip to go diving in there, but
Oh wow.
it's like a 1,200 feet deep. So
Jesus.
impossible to go
Yeah,
like, I'm
that's
gonna go
insane.
book a, you need like a freaking like a like expedition thing,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like a Titanic stuff. But I don't know, because I looked maps for like underwater, like topography and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and it's crazy because there is there is kind of
Like a shelf
like a
there.
ledges.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's crazy.
That's is there any like written documentation anywhere of like they think that might be the spot? Like is there any evidence that you've heard
No,
of?
when I look at, nobody points at that place.
Mm.
Like a lot of people points in like a more like a high Europe,
Mm.
more like go to like the Baltic Ocean or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, it, they don't go that way. But
I,
for some reason, I have this vision that if I close I close my eyes, I can see like a right across the street, like in that direction. I can see the mountains coming this way, they come that way, and then they go that way. So I
yeah.
think it's right there.
Well, I mean, and who's to say?
Somebody mentioned the play because Atlantis, the all the the story about Atlantis is Plato. Plato, it was the one who like in one of the scriptures he described this thing. That's is the only historical reminiscence of Atlantis. Nobody has anything about that. And but he talks about the entrance. He talks about these pillars that you gotta go through engines. So in my head is like
Oh,
it makes sense that it's like Gibraltar because it's like if you were on a ship, it's like you know what I mean. Like it looks like you going through a gate
right.
through that stuff.
Well, that would
So
make sense just based off of what I saw because I don't know a ton about anything Atlantis. That's something I've never really like
yeah,
dove into until I had some visions and stuff. And
yeah.
also, I mean, I have a real big tie with Pleiadians and have been like I've explored like past lives with them, and then also like being able to astral travel onto their ship that's hovering around Earth and just things like that. And I don't know. I had this. This was just something you were talking about the Aztecs and stuff, and I was curious. Have you been to Serpent Mound yet?
Yeah. Do
So
you remember? Like I came to here, and you sent me to Superman. I
yeah, I
didn't
remember
know.
I told you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've had several amazing experiences there and stuff. I don't know if I told you this one. I'm going to tell you two different stories real
Mm.
quick. There was we were there one time. I went there a few times by myself, and there was a really long, awesome story that I'm not going to say, but like a shorter story is, I wanted to go back after the initial amazing experience. So then, my kids and my wife wanted to come with me, and I was like, all right, let's go. And then we went up and we went around. It wasn't anything too exciting. It was awesome always being there. It's always cool, but we went over to the burial mounds that are over there, and we were sitting at a picnic table. My kids were playing, and I kind of just glanced over at the mound, and I was like, "What were they actually doing here?" And I saw these people on their knees, like around the burial mound, and they were like praying. And behind them, there was this shaman lady that had a big shaman lady that had like her totem in the ground, but was kind of like holding it out. And this bright white light from the heavens was coming down on this burial mound. And then behind her was this big golem looking guy with like a fire in the center of him. And I was like, that's pretty elaborate. Like that was a lot to see. So when I saw that, I was like, so shaman lady, I need to reach out to someone who I know is a shaman, ask if they've ever heard of that. Because what I felt like is whatever these people were praying about or praying to, the shaman was being summoned basically,
Mm.
and was shining some blessings basically onto the bodies or whatever's in there. And the golem was her protector. So I reached out to one of my friends. I was like, hey, odd question, but I saw this shaman lady today, and she was doing blah blah blah. I forgot about the golem guy, and I was like, she was doing all this stuff and whatever. She was like, honestly, I've never seen that at Serpent Mound. She said, but when I was at Cumberland Falls, there was a big shaman lady like that behind the falls. She said, but the only difference is she had this big like golem guy behind her with a fire in the center of him. And I was like, hold on, I forgot to tell you about this, the freaking golem guy. So I was like, okay, that's validation that what I'm seeing was true.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm very connected with Serpent Mound, and every time I would fill into anything or have any messages, the Aztecs would come up always. And I know the Aztecs were not to the best of my knowledge, the Aztecs were not around here. They were more so like down towards Mexico, I think, or something along those lines. But I kept hearing that Aztecs had something to do with building the Serpent Mound. And I had this dream one time because I was like, all right, I need to just know like why am I hearing about these Aztecs, and why are they being brought up? And then I was reading a story, and at the end of the story, the lady was like, and at I ended up running into an elder Aztec that comes there a lot at Serpent Mound. I was like, I need to talk to an elder Aztec, and I couldn't track down an elder Aztec, but I then was sleeping, and I had this dream where I was like standing on this platform, and I was like, and there was this guy at the end, and he said, come forward. And I'm like, all right. So I walked forward, and he was almost like a hand or something, like to a king or so, I don't know. But, and I stood up above there, and then these soldiers lined this, like beneath me there were these soldiers that lined, there was maybe like 6 or 10 on each side, and they had these flags, and I drew it and I wrote it down. I don't remember what the flag looked like now, but they had these flags, and they were like they said something like, we are Aztecs or something like that. And I looked over at the guy, and I was like, what is this? And he said, you were an Aztec, or you are an Aztec, or part of the Aztec, or something along those lines. And then those soldiers went away, and then that guy went away, and it was just me standing there looking over like this deserty kind of area and stuff. And then the dream ended, and I was like, was I an Aztec in a past life? So then I went in to that, and I did end up realizing that I did have a past life as an Aztec, and there was I had several lives actually, and one was of a woman and then whatever, but just a crazy experience. But I say all that to say, um, have you came up with anything on Serpent Mound and how it was made or why it was made or who was responsible or what kind of energy is going on there? What's your take on that?
I think it has a lot to do with the Adina culture.
Well, that's what history says, at
Yeah.
least there.
I had no clue about the existence of the Adina culture until I found the rock and the bark, and I started looking for that, and then the rock looks like an artifact. I thought it was Native American, 1800, and then it's like, no, this is a little bit. One of my coworkers, he said to me, like, no, this looks older, and then so I started digging and digging, and like, and then I found the Dina culture, and that's what took me to like a lot of like um I think the Aztecs, they're not, because the Adina culture, they don't look that connected like Aztec will. So if the and because all the mounts that you see from the Adina culture or everything that you see the Adina culture, they look more like not as evolved like the Aztecs will. Because imagine like Aztecs, they have their own calendar, like solar calendar, and like they were doing crops and this like it was a running society.
Yeah.
They were like very, and they were actually like, I was looking at a video the other day. There's I think it's Chichen Itza, some of the pyramids. You stand and the bottom, this thing is fucking humongous. I was like, I don't know, 300 steps. So it's
These
big.
things are insane.
Yeah.
It's so
So you stand in the bottom and you scream, and the echo comes back to it.
I saw that. And it's like, how the hell? How? I mean, because like there's
you know,
nothing angled coming down.
The amount of engineering that you need to create something like that.
It's not like they made it and then they were like, oh crap, this echoes. Like it was meant for a reason.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's kind of like I feel like the Aztecs, they were like they maybe, or they showed them that they were like wearing shorts and barefoot, but mentally they were super evolved compared to the Adina. So I wonder if like they were going through Aztecs when they,
that was my thought.
I went to Serpent Mound, and there is a lot of energy in there. It's like bananas, and it's crazy, dude. I found feathers everywhere.
Hawk feathers, or do you know what kind of feathers?
I found, I have all kinds of feathers, but the crazy thing is like I always found feathers, right? So when you go to
that one up there is from Serpent Mound.
Really? Yeah. So I went to Serpent Mound. No, a single feather, but you cannot step on the serpent, right? You can walk around.
You're not supposed to, yeah.
So. Okay, well, this is the thing. I walking in and all the whole thing and all the stuff went over there. It was awesome, super energetic. It was so good. And then as I'm walking out, a feather stuck right in the middle on top of the serpent in the grass. And the crazy thing is like it was
in the middle, like heads here, tails here. It was like here,
but it was standing.
That's crazy.
Do you see there's like a tower, like a viewing tower? Yeah. It was right next to a viewing tower, and it was like standing, and the wind was blowing, so the wind was keeping her standing.
Yeah. Oh, so it wasn't like stuck in the ground. It was just wow.
And I'm standing here waiting for the wind to blow it to bring it to me. I sure God, I spent 10 minutes waiting for that thing. He did not move.
That's hilarious.
So it's like, okay, well, this is not for me. That's it.
Yeah.
But dude, I never seen a feather
like standing there.
It's not like someone went and like stuck it. It was stuck. No, it was flapping around. It was holding by the grass and like flapping around, but it's standing. Dude, crazy. The only feather that I saw
You would have shit yourself if it did start to float over to you. That would have been.
I was waiting for like the wind to blow or something.
That one there, there's a obviously you're not supposed to go on the serpent and all
That's why I
that.
didn't
So
go into the serpent.
well, but like, and I think in ancient culture, I don't think it would, or in their like back in the day when they had it, I don't think it would have been a big deal to go on to the serpent. But I think because there's a bunch of idiots out there, they don't want people walking on it and like ruining
Destroy
it basically. But when I went on my way there, I pulled out and I put it in my GPS, and it was an hour and 33 minutes away. So I was like, well, 33, that's cool. And then in the direction I was going, there was this rainbow coming, not a rainbow like that. It was like the little sundials or whatever they're called, but sundogs, whatever. But it was like a rainbow coming down out of the sky in the direction I was going. I was like, okay, so I'm meant to do this. And then I was listening to this Native American like flute music on the way up there. And as I was driving, the road was blocked. When I got closer to it, I was like, all right, I got to go a different way. And I did. And as I did, there was trees in the middle of the road. I was like, what in the heck is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those moments where I am supposed to be going this way for some reason. And as I was, there was this hawk that was in a ditch next to me, and it took off, and it had a serpent. It had a snake in its hand, and it flew right over my hood and flew with me with the serpent there, and then landed. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, that's freaking insane. And then as I got there, the music switched off of the album and switched onto this other type of music. And it was like this, I don't know, it felt like I was on in a movie or something. The music that was playing, and it was like feeling like I'm getting ready to go on some adventure. So the whole time I'm driving there, I'm seeing this lady that like fills the whole sky for me. And she's Native American. And she's like, you're going to meet Hantu, I think is what she said his name was, or Hanto or something along those lines, when you get there, and he's going to show you the way. Because I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And she was like, he will be there. And I'm like, all right. So then I get there, and I'm walking, and I get to the top of the serpent, right where you can go right or left. And I'm like, what do I even need to do here? And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to start walking. So as I did, I was led to look at the energy of the serpent, and I realized there was like a blockage in towards the middle of it. And I was like, do I need to mess with this? I don't want to energetically mess with any of this. And they were like, yes, you need to clear it out. So I started clearing that blockage out. And as I did, I got to where it started to flow again, and I came around, and there was a feather over, it was on the other side of the serpent laying next to a tree, but there was a feather there. And they were like, you're going to need that feather, but not yet. And I was like, but I can't walk on the mound. And they were like, not yet. And I was like, all right, whatever. So then I start walking, and I'm like, Hantu's not here yet. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I was mishearing it, and maybe I'm just going to cleanse it and go on. And all of a sudden this buzzing, or a bug started flying next to my ear, and it was going bzzz. And I was like, I told myself going in, whatever happens, I don't care if a black widow's on my arm, I'm going to just let it happen.
Yeah.
And it started buzzing, and I was like, and I felt like I needed to buzz or hum. So I started going bzzz. And as I did, the serpent, I was towards the head now, and it started to glow. And the ring at the end started to have fire columns, like all around it was fire coming out, and the whole serpent's glowing. And I'm like, holy cow, this is intense. So then I get to the head of the snake, the serpent, and I'm looking down it. It was a cloudy day, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, all right, I need to open up. And I'm opening up. I have my arms out, and this energy is just rushing into me. And then I have my eyes closed, and all of a sudden I feel this warmth hit me, and I was like, whoa, like this is extremely warm. And I opened my eyes a little bit, and there was a hole in the sky, in the clouds, and the sun was directly lined up with the serpent shining on me. And I was crazy. Like, holy cow. And this is the second experience I had with the sun shining on me like that in a different place. But so then, and I'm like, I'm there, and I'm just letting whatever happens. And then I hear someone walk up beside me. And I kind of looked, and there was no one there. So I was like, all right, it's a spirit of some sort. And then I heard him settle next to me. And then I looked over, and it was a Native American looking guy that was there, and like a big guy. And he was like, are you ready? And I was like, I thought this was it, but yes, I'm ready. And he said, all right, let's walk the journey. And we exchanged some words and stuff. I forget everything he was saying. And then we got up to that feather, and he was like, you have to get the feather. Or actually, I'm sorry. First, he said, I want you to walk down here on that little platform by the head of it where you can look over the lands.
Yeah.
He said, I want you to walk down here. You have to get something. And I walked down there, and there was a stick that was broken in a couple of pieces, but still together. And it had this shape to it. I don't know what it was, but it was sitting there. And he was like, you need to grab that. And I was like, all right. And so I grabbed that, and he said, all right, now let's go. And I started walking up the steps, and he was, I want you to walk up the gravel part or the dirt part next to it, because I want you to kind of feel like you're walking in our footsteps kind of thing. So I did. And then we get to the feather, and he's like, you need to get the feather. And I was like, but I'm not allowed to walk on the thing. And he said, you have my permission to go get the feather. And I was like, and I ran out, grabbed the feather real quick, and I came back. And then I found another feather. I forget where I found the other feather at, but I found another feather at some point along the lines. I get to the tail of the snake or the serpent, and he was like, you need to sit the feather like almost how you found your feather, but I had to stick it in there in the tail of it, and I needed to throw the stick in the middle of the tail, basically. And he said basically what we were doing is almost like an opening up ritual for the serpent to bring in this different energy of some sort. I don't know exactly. And then this energy started rushing up from in the earth up into the bottom of the tail. It went around the tail and then went down the whole serpent, and then was kind of going out of the serpent's mouth. And then at that point, we talked for a second, and then he was like, your journey here is done, and feel free to come back another time. So I had that journey, and I took one. He said that's what it was. He said, this other feather, that one there, is to link you to the mound's energy at all times, basically. Almost like, here's one feather that was stuck in it, here's another feather that you're supposed to take with you, and it links you to this at all times, or something along those lines. And that was my first experience with Serpent Mound. And from then on out, anytime I go there, it's not that crazy, but there's always like some kind of energetic something that's happening. So kind of a real quick funny story. We were sitting there the last time we went. My wife, my littlest, was like, I want to get in the stroller. And we were like, all right, well, my wife was like, I'll go back and get the stroller real quick. And my son and I were sitting by the observation tower on a bench. We were just talking about stuff, and both sons and I were there. And all of a sudden we heard boom, like this, like crazy loud boom that shook the ground and everything. And I was doing energetic work on the serpent at this time. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And then a few seconds later, we heard it again. And I was like, I told my son, I'm like, I don't know if they have like fracking going on somewhere, or like, I don't know. And then my wife came back, and she was like, did you hear that? And I was like, I did. And she was like, my first thought was, what the hell is he doing? Because like, she's like, they come like the ground's going to be opening and fire's coming or whatever. But she said that she overheard someone talking at the Welcome Center that jets fly above that area from
the crack of the sound barrier.
Yeah, that's Pat. What is it called? I don't know. The military base that's close. Yes, that's exactly what it was. They were breaking the sound barrier, and that was the boom. And like, I've never heard that before in my life, and I was like, what in the heck is that? But I also was like, the fact that I'm here and it was happening as I'm doing energetic work, there had to have been some kind of reason. But like this boom, and you know how it's like you're inside of like the meteor, basically. You knew that, right? Like that there was I don't know if you knew that or not, but that whole area around there is a crater from a meteor.
Right? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And like that sound hit, and it just traveled, and you heard it for like 10 to 15 seconds just traveling through it was so crazy. Never heard anything like it. But that place is just a magical place. And you were talking earlier about nature, or about going to the park and like stuff. And I was going to say like, well, you know, what do you do when you go to the parks and stuff? And I figured I would save it for when we merge into it. But that just leads me to like nature, and just like the things that nature can do for you, and just the magic that's there if you're like paying attention. I tell everyone, like, if you want to go out in the woods and just be just be present. I think they call it forest bathing or something like that they
Yeah,
do.
yeah, force bait, yeah.
And it's like, but if you just go out and be present, you're gonna have some kind of journey. We just had a journey, and I'm not gonna go into it because I've been talking for way too long at this point. But we had a journey where we went to
It's
Serpent
your
Mound.
world. I just
You
live
just
in it. You do you.
well, we went to we were going to Serpent Mound, and they were closed on Mondays, and we went up, and it was a Tuesday, and we get there, and the gates closed, and it says, "Hey, by the way, we're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays now," but it doesn't reflect that online. I just drove an hour and a half out there, so I was like, my car has Grok in it, so I asked Grok, I was like, where is there any other magical places around here that we can go to? And they said, oh, well, we have the foothills of the Earthworks foothills or something along those lines, and it's a cool place. And it was like 10 minutes away, and I was like, well, let's go there. We did not have the time to climb this trail because I had to have him be home for a meeting. The trail was muddy. We were slipping and sliding, but for some reason, my whole family, who never wants to walk a trail, wanted to keep walking this trail. So we walked this trail. We get to the top. My son's like, that was really weird. He said, I keep hearing Josh. And I'm like, and this is my oldest, and he's really in tune. And long story behind it all, but basically he said, I keep hearing Josh. And I saw a flash of yellow, and it was almost like a game loading screen. And then I was like back in the game. He said it was really weird. And I think what was happening is he was switching in like the spiritual mode or something along those lines, or he was like reality shifted for him for a second. But as we were walking back down the hill, the same trail we just walked because we wasn't going to go the whole way around because it was way too long. He was like, I'm seeing like a black version of myself like behind me, and like it's sitting there and it's playing some drums or something. It's really weird. He said, but I don't like. I feel like it's a piece of me that's almost like being left behind or something. And I was like, I'm not getting anything about this. So at this point, I was like, can you walk up with your mom and let me feel into things for a second? And he walked up, and I was like, all right, what the hell is going on here? And all of a sudden, I saw the lining the trail. There were these like Native Americans that were like playing the drum, the rattles, and they were yelling. And there was like this ceremony that was happening for my son. And it was like he was leaving some shadow piece of himself or shedding it through this trail he was walking. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So then I get towards the end of this like drumming and yelling line. They're happy and celebrating. And I get to the end, and my father-in-law, who's like a guardian for us, he comes up and he's like, walk. And I'm like, whoa, like, he's like, you need to go. Like, and I'm like, what the hell? So I start walking forward, and then he was like, all right, now stop. And you need to have Liam come up here and feel into everything, or feel in or listen or something along those lines. And they were pretty far ahead. I said, hey, Liam, I said, come back up here real quick. And he's like, what's up? And I was like, I just want you to tune in for a second. And he was like, okay. And then we both close our eyes and we tune in, and all of a sudden we hear zzz, and it's this buzzing, and we were talking about the echo. We were like, it was really cool. You could say, hey, and it was so loud. And we were like, what is this? And then all of a sudden I knew it had to have been a bee's hive or something. And I looked up in this tree off in the distance, and all these bees were going crazy. And it was like 40 degrees outside or something. And they were just going everywhere.
Pretty cold to be bees around.
It was. But it was, the whole thing is, it was like vibrating through the whole entire area. And we sat there for a second and took it in, and I was like, all right, let's go before the bees come and attack us or something. And then we got to the bottom of the hill. He ended up with this like red bite on his neck that went away in like a couple. It was really weird, almost like energetically something was being released from him, and just super crazy experience for him. But dude, for him, he talked about it the whole ride home of how it was the coolest experience he's ever had, and like he never thought it was going to be like that or whatever. So like that's my kind of experiences in nature. I bring all that up and tell all the stories because it's interesting, but also I wanted to just ask you, like, what are you getting from nature? Like, what are your experiences? What are you doing with nature?
Well,
especially on your shamanic journey, because nature is a big thing.
First of all, let's say God, or whoever you want to call it. God creates everything. And nature is the most perfected thing, untouched by us, because we create this. We create it. Yeah, it's energy. God provides the materials and da 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 da. But we build this.
Mm-hmm.
We don't build trees. We don't build rocks. We don't build dirt. We don't build grass. We don't create the cycle for things to go die and release seeds and like rebirth every year, and the birds that fly from here to warming areas and then come back, and then the bison. We don't create that. That's straight up nature. So when you go in nature and you just be part of nature, you just go in there and you sit down and you're like, you occupying yours like the same thing that flower is doing, same thing that tree is doing, same thing that rock is doing. Everything start making sense. I mean, that's at least that's how I feel.
Anytime I
That
need any kind of
yeah,
clarity, I go to nature, even if it's just walking a trail.
is the most powerful and the most like the straighter shot straight to your soul.
Yeah, I agree. Almost like the
you,
Avatar movie, if you've
you
ever
gotta be
seen it.
humble, all right? You gotta humble yourself because you gotta go over there and sit down. And it's like if you go thinking on yourself and problems and things like that, nothing is gonna happen. Yeah, you're gonna be sitting under a tree, period.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be your situation. But when you go and you become part of that whole circle, right? So you understand, you embrace the life is beautiful. You embrace and you understand that you're alive right now, you can die tomorrow. You understand the circle of life, the birds, the sound, the wind, like everything start, and it's crazy when you start listening to the nature's language, how it didn't speak to you. When you were saying about like the sun and things, dude, I have bazillion stories, the things that happen like in nature. Just like I don't know, go to the park. I don't feel like it. It's kind of like gloomy, it's darky, or it's cloudy and whatever. And I go over there. It's like, well, I'm gonna go because I like to that thing, and I sit down and I'm like, all of a sudden, dude.
Oh, nice. Right on you too.
Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that like, but that's what it is.
Well, it's really crazy, like, to think that like something so big is happening, but like it's not really that big in the grand scheme of things because we're so connected with everything. But like the sun is peeking through because you need whatever you were getting from that at that point, or you needed that experience. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just, it always blows my mind because in the beginning of my journey, I was like, I'm just little old me and, nothing. But now I'm like, dude, we're just as big as anything that you can imagine.
We are huge. Everything that is happening in here, we are part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucking thing is happening. But I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theory person and all that
Most
stuff.
conspiracy theories come true though.
But the society has tendency, I mean, divide and conquer,
Mm-hmm.
right? So society has this tendency to instead encourage humans to like feel themselves and like dig into themselves to find their purpose and like so on, become part of this nature amazing machine. That's what we're here for, right? We're like, okay, well, it took me forever, but I finally realized and I found my purpose, and I'm doing the things that I have to do, not just for me. I don't do the things that I do for my ego. I do the things that I do because I feel that I need to do them for other people to receive that message. And that if that person started doing what that person has supposed to be doing, and you doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that person is doing what's supposed to be doing, our world is going to start being a better world. Like right now, society is putting us in this situation where like everybody's waiting for the Messiah to come to fix our problems, but the reality is that we are here right now. It's on us to fix what we dislike, right? It's not that difficult. So nature has that power to show you where you have to go, what you have to do, the things that the 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 fundamentals of like the existence. Because of that, right? Like you see a rock, and that rock probably being formed in there for like 25,000 years. If we walk around in a gravel road like nothing is happening, paying attention to our phones, and you standing on a rock that it probably has 25,000 years, are you aware of that shit? Because that's powerful. That's insane. And the freaking birds, and like the wind and the blow and the smell and the sun and all the stuff. And it's like I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know about other people, but I remember how I used to live, and like I would be in my day like not paying attention to any of this. And there's things that are like the things that were creating my day, or there were things that were part of the structure of my day, but I would not pay attention to it at all. Like I don't give a fuck. It's like whatever. But it's a lot of magic in there. I remember one day I was I mean I was born in Argentina. I lived in the States for 13 years by myself. I've been single for 2.5 years, something like that, and like I'm alone. I'm all the time alone and always by myself. I don't even have a dog anymore. You know what I mean? So one day I was talking with my shamanic teacher. You know, I was telling her like sometimes, yeah, I understand all this and all that stuff, but sometimes I feel alone. You know what I mean? It's like she said to me, "It's like, do you think everything is energy? Yes. Are you energy? Yes. So everything like we all share this energy around. Cool. Do you think things in nature are alive? Yes. Do you think trees are alive? Yes. You see the backyard of my house is full of trees.
Yeah.
So the trees are there for you. They're part of your day. They're part of your journey, like everything else. Thanks for those words. I'm not alone anymore.
Wow,
because
awesome.
I understand that every single thing has a purpose. Even so, those trees that are standing in there.
I love that. I really do, because I think like nature has a way of just like, I think just God, the universe, just has a way of just being there for you, and you can feel so surrounded and supported if you allow yourself to open up and understand how things really are. And you don't ever feel lonely anymore. There was a time I used to deliver papers for the Cincinnati Enquirer, and it was like really late at night when I would do it, and I was going through a lot, and my guides were like, pull over. And I was like, okay. So I pulled over. I'm on this wooded road, and they said, now close your eyes. And when I did, I started feeling this energy like leaving me, but then also coming into me. I was kind of, it's kind of hard to explain, but I opened my third eye, kind of like looking around me, and the trees were glowing with this like beautiful white, bluish, purplish kind of energy that was like radiating into me. And then they were taking away all the like crap that I had. And I sat there with the like, you know, those chills you get up the back of your spine when you hear like
Mm.
truth or something, or like, I mean, it was the most intense, that kind of feeling I've ever felt. And they said when it was done and over with, the trees went back to being normal trees, no more glowing. And I'm just sitting there, and they said, now, and if you ever need anything like that, the trees are here for you, and they can help you in any way that you need. And now I just, ever since that day, I don't look at trees, or I look at trees different than I used to. And it's just like, they're
They're an
amazing.
insane trees. It's like an antenna. They're actually they function as a filtering device, and it sounds terrible, poor trees, because it's like it sounds like I'm just using a
Mm-hmm.
tree, but the reality is like they have that connection. They're living things, but they have this purpose of filtering things through earth, right? So for example, when you do grounding, right, when you ground it, you're releasing your excess energy through earth, right? So when you connect with trees, you can actually like, by grabbing the tree and stuff like that, you can feel that, you can release that to the tree, and the tree will like take the work to release it into the earth and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And it's they're very, they're good for like cleansing and things like that.
I
It's
agree.
insane, dude. Like I don't know. I used to live in Argentina. I used to live in this street that it was very wide street with a bunch of trees each side. It was kind of like a cave looking. You know those
That's awesome
streets,
looking. Yeah.
they're like super covered like that. And I remember like I don't know. I always seen trees for like it's a fucking tree that never, you know what I mean, never put all this intention through it and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, they have a lot of power. I feel like I mean, through everything that we talk up to now, and this is not just for us. This is for the people that's listening. Everything relates in the perspective, that you see stuff. Um, the world is, it's an amazing place. If you get caught off in the speed of society, like looking at the phone all the time and all that shit, and not paying attention to anything, you can live your life every fucking day without noticing anything that we just talked for the past hour or something.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing at all. So it's all about perspective. It's all about to like giving yourself the timing to like slow down and tune in with all these things, because we're all built the same, you know what I mean? So it's
I
just
agree.
it takes to like a little bit of like time to like learn how to tune in. But once you start tuning in, it's bananas, dude. It's insane, you know what I mean? Like maybe someone that tuned more. I remember like when I was doing the Reiki certification, the you make me do Reiki to a couple of women, and I remember like I was doing it like, I remember the first time that I came here, I was so nervous because I didn't know it, when I was talking about like what I said before, like I put a lot of work into that. It was me to understanding to like put all these puzzle pieces, right, and giving it an instructor. But in the end, it's like like I said before, like I don't do Reiki, I don't charge for that stuff, I don't do it. But I wanted it to go through that process in order for me to give it an instructor to understand, and for me to be more useful in the time being here, right? Because now I understand how to do this, and how can, or when I feel something, how can I, you know what I mean? How can I perceive?
Mm-hmm.
I can stay away from this, or I can help this way. Sorry. And when I remember when I was doing the first woman, I saw something, and I saw this whole thing, but so vividly. It was one of the like the the first times that I was seeing things so vividly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's putting yourself. in that situation, right? So I was seeing something super vividly, and when I told that to the woman, I remember she started crying like, ah, how do you know all this? It's like, I don't know. You showed me this because
Right.
I just put my hands on you, and like you, like I don't know. I'm receiving whatever is in you. Your being is who's telling me all this. I'm just voicing what you just told me and what do you need to hear, right? So how crazy or magical all that uh, feels, it's actually, I feel like every single human is the same way. We all build the same way. The only difference is like I just put the work on it. I spend my time in nature and I start paying attention to these things. Like, oh, well, it's not like a one day you just go in nature. It's like that's it. I'm in tune, bro. No, it takes time and you have to like meditate and start getting more and more and more. And it's like I'm at the point now that sometimes I don't have to do my whole protocol to meditate. Sometimes I'm just like I don't know, I just go to the bathroom when I'm at work in the middle of the day and just stand there for a second and do a cleansing and all that stuff and my energy and then but everything relates and it's just perspective. You know what I mean? Because in the end, I believe that I go to the bathroom and I close my eyes and I do this movement and I cleanse my energy and I protect my energy and all that stuff. But it's just my perspective. I just taking the step to like change the way that I'm seeing things. So if everybody will be capable to put yourself in a better perspective every day, the world will be way better than what it is right now. I think the biggest problem right now that we have is social media. And matter of fact, I delete my Facebook app from my phone and all that stuff because I only see problems. Nobody is like, hey, I found this problem. I think that this could be a good solution. Nobody has that type of input. Everybody's like,
Everybody wants everybody's opinions on the problems.
yeah, but just bullshit all the time. So the only thing they create is like more problems, more problems, more problems. So why are we getting caught with all this crap? You know what I mean? The world is beautiful. We have this life. It's like yeah, today, like you said, today we know that we had many lives before. And probably there's gonna be more or not. I don't fucking know. But I like today I understand that there is multiple lives and all that stuff. Okay, cool. But let's say that we only have one life. How do you want to live it? You want to live it like inside a phone, doing whatever somebody else has to tell you to do, or you want to live like a fucking like fairy tales life? I prefer the fairy tales. I prefer to do it, and it's all about perspective.
Well, and all the things that you're saying is also leading to being present. Like you're saying, I meditate and it's helped me. Well, that's being present. Or I go out in nature and you're just being present with nature. Or there was another one, I forget what you said, but basically it's all going into being in the now and in the present. And when you Reiki, there's nothing better than putting your hands on someone and you're channeling this energy and then you're so phenomenal. Present, you're so here, you're in the now, and that all of it's just bringing you into the now to allow you to be able to hear what's going on. And then the mind state thing, someone said one time, like, well, how do you know it's not just you psyching yourself out and thinking that that's the way that it is or that you're doing this thing? And I said, who the fuck cares? Like, if it's helping me, I'm going to continue to psych myself out.
I'm not hurting anybody with this. This is just my point of view. It's myself. And guess what? Let's put it this way. You wanna question us the way that we see stuff and the way that we do stuff? Okay, what do you do in your life and how your life is? Because I bet that right now you're like working super hard, doing all kinds of shit, and your life sucks. Or at least in this moment, you think it sucks. But it doesn't suck at all. Because if you stop for a second, and if you look it up, how many people right now, they don't have to eat, they don't have a place to live, they being raped, they being like, there's so much bad shit happening right now. So for more than you think that your life sucks right now, think about it for a second, think of it right.
Mhm.
But honestly, if somebody thinks the way that we live our lives, it's like, oh, we're like super crazy or woohoo or whatever it is. Dude, I work 4 days a week. I make more than 100,000 a year and all that stuff. And all that stuff, all those good things happen thanks about thanks because my perspective. Thanks about I choose to do good things, things that makes me happy every day. I know and I understand that my life can stop tomorrow. So everything that I do every day, it makes me happy. And it's not about the reward. It's about the journey. Because if I want like, I don't know, I want to buy a pair of shoes that it costs $2,000. I don't know if it exists, but probably. I want to buy a pair of shoes that costs $2,000, and I don't have $2,000. Well, when I set that goal in my head, there is a lot of a struggle to get those shoes they were, because in the end, when you put the shoes, they do the same thing that the pair of shoes that $20 does, right? But it's the whole thing to go there. Now, if you go through the journey without paying attention to what's happening, the things that you did in order to get there, the people that you met and they met together, and all that stuff, if you don't pay attention to that, you pay attention to your phone and you're just waiting for like the universe to give it to you, your life is gonna suck. That's
I
for
agree.
sure. You know what I mean?
The friend that I was talking to about Jesus, I talked about this earlier on in the podcast, but that he was just telling me that like we have to, Jesus is our king, and that we have to like, we're living in sin every day and all kinds of stuff like that. And I was like, dude, that is no way to think. And without going into all of that, he said, he said, well, like, basically they said they don't believe what I believe, and that I'm living the wrong way from doing it. And I said, well, from my perspective with that, I said, my life and everything so far is going pretty damn good, man. I said, so like whatever I'm doing right now is working. And I think that we just need to come from a place of love, compassion, and we can have our boundaries. We can have our beliefs or whatever we need, but we need to be trying to be a better person every day. And it doesn't mean like stressing yourself out to be a better person, but just taking steps to be a better person, such as meditating or learning something new that's productive, and just doing what we love to do. And your life is going to get so much better, and it's going to stay better. So
I feel like the biggest problem with religion in general aspect. No, I don't want to. I think not religion is good, because the end of it, it's just there is a control situation, and in the end of every single argument, there is something where like, well, if you don't do what I said, you're wrong. And I don't like that. I also think today, a lot of people that they're not good people, they hide behind religion in order to not get caught or like whatever.
Or to feel better about the shit that they're doing to other people.
Yeah. I honestly, like what I do, there is no, or what you do or whatever. We don't have a religion. We don't follow. We don't chase anybody. We don't follow orders about anybody. We just live our lives like human beings. We're human beings. We go to nature. We don't, like, I don't fuck around. I don't go molesting people like Christian Catholics and I don't try to like get me money and I give you my information like Christian like I don't do all those things. So there is no way that you can tell me it's like, oh yeah, what you're doing is wrong. What I'm doing is fine. Because it's like the crazy thing is one of my best friends. He's a pastor in church, and he's a really good man, and he's a phenomenal person, and he is in the spot that he has to be because it's crazy. Dude, it's full of tattoos and all that stuff. He's a pastor, and if you go to church and his service, it is like ex prostitutes, ex thieves, and it's awesome. It's beautiful because he is in the place that he has to be to help those people in that time to become a better person. But the same way that you and I, we try to become a better person every day, the same way those people are. But not because you're Christian, or not because you're Catholic, or not because you're Muslim. That means that you're a better person. Because, matter of fact, I watched today Sean Ryan show, the podcast SRS, that he is talking about Christian camp, like one of those youth camp or something like that. The guy that it was the director or something like that, he was molesting kids from years and years and years and years and years.
Are you talking about the guy that's like trying to sue him now?
Yeah. Have you seen it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. And that's what you have it. And there's like dude, I have cases. I know cases. I live in Union, Kentucky. I know cases in Union, Kentucky. The people that were calling themselves Christian that right now are in jail for molesting child. And that's one of the last things that I will stand for. Like, I don't get that. No way, like that with me doesn't run anymore. Doesn't go. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's one of those things where like it's very difficult to understand, or it's very difficult for me to try to agree with someone that stands behind a flag that it caused damage to other people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's kind of, it's not for, I don't want to generalize or whatever, because it's not, I'm not saying that every single person is like that, because I grew up Catholic, and I'm like, I understand, or out of my perspective, the ones that broke the ice and they were like super Catholics, they were my grandparents, and they were like, bro, they were going to church like 4 or 5 times a week. It was like insane. Bananas. But then in my head, it's like, when I started growing up, I understood it's like, well, maybe somehow they had some guilt inside for it. Who fucking knows? We're all humans. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, when you're growing up, you think, I mean, when you have kids is when you realize all that. You think that your parents knows everything. And then when you're a parent, you understand that you don't know shit, because you keep learning every fucking day. Somehow you're managing how to raise this child, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how it goes. So I feel like somehow my grandparents, in some way, they had a guilt or something, and then they switch and they start going to church all the time and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's good. I get it. Maybe they were okay, but I remember, like, I don't know, family reunion, people talking shit about other people. So, I mean, you calling yourself one thing and then you don't live by it. And I keep hearing and seeing so many people doing the same thing. Well, guess what? I haven't seen many people doing the things that we do. Yes. Being as scumbags, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think, like,
it's kind of like I don't know, man, just leave me alone. I just try to be a good person every fucking day.
I agree. And some of the shittiest people that I know that talk shit about people behind their backs and are Christians or whatever, and it's just like, I think that it's a mask to hide behind to make themselves feel like they're not doing the bad stuff. But also, I think that they're trying to find the light. I think they're trying to find a connection with God. I think the issue there is that when we put a medium or a someone between us and God, such as the pastor or the church or whatever, I think that it dilutes God's power. But I think what happens a lot of the times is people try to find Jesus or God or whatever, and they do it through the church, but then God or Jesus starts to communicate with them directly, and they start to get that what they need, and then their life gets better, everything gets better. But I think, and also I wanted to say that I think there are some amazing people in the churches,
Yeah.
as you just said, basically
Yeah.
your friend, and
Yeah.
but then the nasty apples, like, they ruin it for the rest of them and ruin the name. But also, last thing I want to say about it is that, like you said, there's case upon case upon case, and at a certain point, it's just like all things in life, once you see the same pattern, it builds a stereotype around it. Same with
Yeah.
everything in life. So then we have this stereotype where we're like, well, church is good. It can be good for people, but like there's a lot of molestation or a lot of bad things that are happening. And then it's like the pastors trapping their people in the doors and telling them they're not leaving until they raise $11,000 or whatever. And it's like, what? Like, this stuff is so
Yeah.
crazy.
It's just
So did you by any chance, I don't know if you follow anything like this, but did you see the Drewski skit or not
no.
sketch, but skit of the pastor? Oh my gosh. Do you know who Drewski is by any
No.
chance? He's an African American dude, but he has like bleach blonde hair. He's just a comedian, and he can be an asshole. I don't really like him because of some of the things, but like he is one of the funniest dudes out there right now. And he, the video starts where he's floating and he's acting like a pastor, and he's floating in the air on wires, and like there's smoke blowing in his face and like blowing up, and everybody's worshiping, and he's like, "Can I get a?" And it's just like, it's freaking hilarious. But he was making fun of the mega church, like pastors and stuff.
I've been in one of these mega churches, and it's like, bro, I've been in New York and what's it called? I want to say Hollywood, but it's not Hollywood. In Broadway, I've been in Broadway in New York, and you go to theaters and you see this like big ass productions. Dude, this church is bigger than that.
That's crazy. Like, that's just
Like,
so insane.
Fucking camera cranes over the people. All that. What the fuck? It defeats the purpose of it. Dude, you wanna see God? Go in the park. Take your shoes off.
Yes.
Close your eyes. That's fucking God.
Mm.
Right there. Nature. Hear the birds. Feel the breeze coming in. That's magic right there.
Mm-hmm.
Going in a church with like camera, the drones and all that doesn't take you close
the
to God.
big band. The band can do good.
Yeah,
They get you
awesome. Yeah,
it's
like a fucking going to
stuff,
concert, but it's like that doesn't take you close to God. And the truth is, like, God is everywhere. Energy is everywhere. When you start understanding that you're so big and so important that you can have the connection straight to God, you're gonna stop going to see that guy that is supposed to have the red phone.
Yeah, right.
Like Batman, I have the red phone.
Yeah,
I got a straight line with the master right here.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not that way. I get it. I understand that, like the whole institution, it works because there is some people that they're so washed up, and there's some people that they're so lost in themselves or in the world. Somehow they need an anchor. So, you know what I mean? Like when you're fucking like what's it called? The sand, like a squeaky sand, like it's like a loose sand, and you need a rope. That rope needs to be anchored somewhere for you to like pull yourself out of the garbage. And I get it. I understand. That's fine.
And it works for some people.
And it works for many people in this work. And that's fine. That's good. But the truth is, like, that is you're attacking the problem. You're attacking the symptom. You're not attacking the problem. You're not attacking the root of the problem, right? And then, like, the root of the problem, normally it's inside of you. And what does that take? Work. How can you work to connect to yourself and connect yourself with God? Go in nature, do meditation, embrace yourself, believe in yourself. We are here right now, alive, you are the only person who can change your surrounding. Nobody else. You can pray whatever the fuck you want. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But if you don't put the work, nothing's gonna change. Like if you go to church every Sunday and you give your money to church, but you're an asshole Monday to Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
your life you're gonna get shit.
Yeah.
Good things are not gonna happen to you because you're a fucking asshole. So that's kind of like bottom line in what's happening in this whole world right now. You know what I mean? We're so far from the core. And like when people talks about Native Americans and all that stuff, it's like, bro, Native Americans, they knew what's up. They knew what's up with that shit. You know what I mean? Like
They're
the
talking to plants
respect,
and learning medicine from plants, and I mean all that stuff.
the respect, the understanding. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we think it's so great right now, and like we're in this world and we have computers in our pockets, and then we're doing all this kind of shit. But in reality, are we doing something, or are we just wasting our time?
Mm-hmm.
Because time is the only currency that we don't know the balance, right? You can die tomorrow and in 10 years. So, what did you done in the last 10 years? Did you done something cool? Did you learn something cool? Did you grow spiritually, like in your core? Did you did something that like actually changed something? Did you help someone, or you just live by?
I agree.
don't
I
know.
agree with that 100%, and I think that your happiness is the number one goal. And I think that like when you start not chasing, when you start following things that make you happy, you get this energy about you. You get this happiness, and then everything around you starts to vibrate in that same frequency, and then you're just a happier person with things going so much better for you. And I think, like at this point, no one could make me question my connection with God. I mean, I have
Oh,
an incredibly healthy relationship with God and Jesus for that matter. I mean, I've went on journeys with Jesus many times, and like my connection is pure and I'm so happy with it. And I always bring people to the movie Avatar, like the first one. And like that movie will show you exactly how we're supposed to be with Earth
100%.
and exactly what we're doing to Earth. And I think that just trying to always be the best person that you can be, and trying to establish your own connection with God, and you can do that through meditation or through going out into the nature and all of that kind of stuff. I think that that ultimately is where we all need to go, because the more that each one of us establish that connection, the more the vibration on Earth rises, and the more we get to overthrow whatever the hell's going on here. So, with all that being said, we're gonna start bringing it
Like
to a
wrap it up.
wrap. And well, and honestly, like I thoroughly enjoy talking to you anytime
Oh
we
yeah,
talk.
dude,
And
we did do this like so many times, and we
well,
like
and I want to have
continue
you on
it.
again at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, just to chat about other stuff, because I mean, we really only touched on a few topics,
Yeah.
but I really enjoy talking to you, and I'm super thankful that you came onto the podcast. Do you have anything going on that you want anyone to know about, such as like any podcast, any book, any music, any pages, anything like that?
The podcast is Plexo Prod. The book, it's called Ankh Anu, and it's in Amazon. You're gonna
Okay,
look it up in Amazon. And I'm writing my second book.
I'm excited for that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
in the music, I'm in the part of the. I have a producer, so he's producing one of the albums, and it's gonna go into DistroKid soon. I have one another one the producer, another one released on YouTube. You can find them in my channel. It's like a Patricio Sadovskis YouTube channel.
Okay.
I have one on there, and I'm working on another one that I released in SoundCloud. But SoundCloud is a little bit more for like musicians, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, whatever. Just follow me if you want to. If not, text me and I give you a hand. And like I don't know,
Just here to help.
we're here to help. That's the
Yeah.
truth. Like honestly, bottom line, again, I'm very repetitive with this, but I feel like it's true. It's like you can fucking die tomorrow. So the truth, it's not about what car you drive, how you dress, what do you think. Even so, what do you do? Like, I'm a tattoo artist. Who fucking cares? I could be doing any other thing as long as you're a good person. That's bottom line. Because you can do whatever you want, whatever label you want to do. But if you're a bad person, and you don't follow what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? All those things are like just things that are like they they're vehicles for us to go through situations and experiences in our life. But in reality, like what we take with us, it's the vivid things. You know what I mean? It's just that.
Well, and I that's just what I love about you. I mean, you're always growing and learning and spreading. You always have wise words to say and just uh, know what to say, basically. So I think that uh, I appreciate it. I know everyone else watching appreciates
I
it,
hope
and I
so.
think that
2 hours. Who fucking watched
was it
2 hours?
2 hours?
Yeah,
Dang, we
whatever.
did get 2 hours.
You're gonna
This
have to
is
edit this.
I'll edit it. It'll probably get down to like an hour and 55 minutes. So hey, honestly though, I think this whole conversation is like incredibly interesting. I would love, like, if I was someone, I would love to listen to this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was great having you. I appreciate you, and we'll do it again another time.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Appreciate